is why I think that this whole offensive is critical to how Germany reacts, shall we say, to the First World War, and that is critical to. They go, oh yeah, we took on the world and lost, or our faction took on the world and lost. We shouldn't do that again. No, they sort of go, we took on the world, but we were going to win, but stab in the back slash lack of food, lack of critical raw materials. And again, looking at the 4-year plan under Hermann Goering was specifically designed primarily to get raw material production in Germany ready to go. It also did industrial production as well, most assuredly, but its primary focus was raw materials, getting them whether mined or processed or the whole thing. It was not on the level of today, but there had been great advances. Yes, Germany was more advanced agriculturally than, say, Italy or particularly Spain, which was at the turn of the century way behind the thing. Recent years at this point, but at this point you also had to move considerable chunk of the population away from the fields already, and I'm guessing a bit here, but it would be, I guess, that the people working on agriculture-related fields were also likely among the first drafted, while the richer city dwellers would be able to avoid at least some of it. Now, I don't know in Germany. Now, we're not talking. Well, one, the upper class, the true small upper class, they're very militarized in Germany, so they want to be the officers if they're at all physically capable of it. I really don't know how much there was the ability of financial situation of getting out of the draft. And I don't know if any of you have ever watched All's Quiet on the Western Front. I've watched at least 2 versions of it. Lou Ayres, the original sort of version, is very good, and you very much see in the class that goes to war, there's cheering going to war, exalted by their teacher into the war, the Great War, go into it. They're all sort of at least middle class type peoples, because they're all late teens or early 20s or whatever, and they're all in school. So these aren't like the poor, whether agricultural workers or industrial workers. These are sort of the professional middle class going to school. So, yeah, the British actually had a couple of thousand tanks. Yeah, by the end of the war, absolutely. And that gets to the idea that I don't think the Germans quite knew what was coming for them for the 1919 offensive that the Western Allies were planning, but they had seen foreshadowing of it, and it was a scary thing to them. I know tanks scared the hell out of the Germans, both in the sense of the frontline guys scared of the tanks and the higher command of how do we cope with this. And, things like the T-Gewehr, the rifle, is definitely part of the coping mechanism, but only just part of it. Okay, well, I think, let's look. Are we going to produce any more units this turn? I don't know. I want more divisions more than I want more artillery pieces, because artillery is starting to get a bit in the way. Okay, so that's keeping our push for more divisions coming, while leaving us with some MPP for other things that may come up. Okay, so we're pushing, not rushing deep yet, but we're pushing here. Their lines, there's cracks in them. I just got to get better at getting some of these rear units up to the front. I got to do. Italy joins the Entente. I thought they were over. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this game at that. There's some Americans again. We saw some of them before. Okay, they get a little bit reinforced down there. They come back into my trap because I'm really not trying to push territory. I mean, sure, it'd be great if their front line was collapsing, but really the important thing is to keep killing units, to keep forcing them into these other spots along the front. The more we can do that, the better off we'll be. They're pulling the Portuguese back. Now, do they have replacement units there? Yes, it looks like they do. But that's just a detachment. It looks like it moved in. Which may be decent to hold your flanks and things, but you don't want to hold the front line with them. Right, okay. Reminder of the importance of Paris. Yes, we understand that. Okay. Now, either I want to put them somewhere down here, because we're right now sort of the manpower, but I think up here we're going to go with there. Okay, ground attack bombers. Yeah, I think maybe there. Okay. That is good. Now let's come down here. Let's continue our local offensive. Okay, if we don't, okay, we didn't take any casualties there. And that's there, and a little bit, okay. That's again just to annoy them. Okay, we have this overstrength unit that's here. And we have that one up there. We have this one that just came in here, and that one looks like it'll be more useful to shattered. Another division shattered. Oh, come on. Had 1,200 Mark IVs and a couple of other types. Wow, yeah, the British were mainly the Mark IVs, Mark 7s, whatever. I'm not, no, yeah, something like that. Where the Americans and the French were mainly the Renault FT-17, whether with the machine gun or with the 37 millimeter. And those are in that kind of numbers, I believe, as well. The French have produced 1,000 tanks before the end of the war. Roughly 2K, I'd say it was definitely more than 2. Yeah, and the Americans were producing by the end of the war their version of the FT-17 in America, but I don't think any of those had been brought over to France. They were using French-made ones, I think. I mean, you got to fact check me on that before you want to go claim it as a known fact, but it's something like that. The Italians, they got some of the FT-17s, but they start producing their own, I think, during the war. But I don't know if any of theirs get into the combat, that they put it before the war ends. Now, their version is a really fast version of the FT-17. They are a super speed version of it. So, but they're gearing up to produce them not in the numbers that France is. But yeah, and so that's just really going to start coming. That doesn't mean that they're going to be able to everywhere along the front roll a huge amount of tanks. But oh boy, that does mean that there's going to be a significant push with them, or could be somewhere. Okay, let's, before I use them and get hammered too hard with them. We want to keep them up to strength. So if we had, our fighters are looking in good shape. Okay, well, I don't know. I don't want to accidentally use them in the wrong way. Okay, we want to kill that French unit. Okay, well, looks like he isn't going to die from that, so I'm going to move you up into here. Okay, defensive artillery. But you know me, this guy won't be entrenched. But that's okay, I hope. Hope we won't lose him. Okay, you come, I guess, to here. Okay, they could swap out after an attack. Oh, that would be fairly deadly there. Okay, let's... if bombing can do the job here. Okay, do we have some more? They're within range, okay. Sop with camels. Snoopy's up flying. Okay, good. We took them down. Very good. Okay, well, looks like an opportune moment to mess with the Portuguese even more. Okay, well, these guys, yeah, they can't move up. Wouldn't be able to attack. Okay, these guys, let's see if we can swap these guys out and still have action points left. Yes. Don't think, yeah, I didn't think we could actually take them out, but that weakened them greatly. Well, the Central Powers is united as the Axis in World War II. Oh, yeah, German having, yes, there's definitely that. Speaking of Italy in the interwar period, Italy arguably one of the most important countries. A lot of doctrine. I'm gonna disagree with you from my reading of what's the book? Iron Arm. I forget who it's by. It's over on my shelf. Early 20s, maybe a bit, but they really didn't get tanks going very, very hard and very much in doctrinal terms. I would. It just. I mean, it's not maybe as incompetent as they're portrayed, but there really wasn't a decision to really create an armored arm until around 1940, or a little bit later than that, or late 1940. And so they realized then that they looked around their nation and they go, yeah, I mean, I'm serious. This is from reading the book a couple years ago now, but sort of look around and go, yeah, we've got some automobile makers and they make really sort of cool cars, but many towns don't even have a gas station, as in like a proper pumping filling station. You just may have like a general store or something that has some, gas cans out in front of it or something, that if you want to, buy one of them to fill your car up, because it's just sort of for a few rich people driving around. And so they really start realizing that they need to, I don't know if this is a word, but I'm going to use it, automobilize their nation much more, develop, and this is after they've already entered the war, that they really need to build up the automotive infrastructure to be able to deal with motorized forces. And so this is where you're really seeing from the idea, maybe what you're looking at, hey, a few tanks driving, like, oh, there's 10 tanks there. Wow, we've got, 10 tanks to support this division that showed up, the sort of an independent, small little support arm. Moving from that into the idea of like a tank division really isn't coming around until, and really wanting to have multiples of them until much later and centralized. So yeah, it's not, I think you're overstating it. I'm not saying you're entirely wrong. And I know I see you're saying about theory, but they definitely didn't, to the best of my knowledge, get the combined arms elements that the Germans were. And it's located in if at best, in a small branch of the armed forces, using them, and not well understood outside of it. But it's not just, and this is part of they realize, it's not just like, oh, tankettes. It's the idea of, the enough trucks and, just trucks for towing artillery pieces, for moving infantry, for moving supplies, ammunition for the force. They really just don't have that down well. And so maybe tactically to some degree on the battlefield. Okay. Okay, well, you get moved. We're going to hit here. Oh, they have artillery. Well, we're still hitting there. Hopefully without too big of a loss. We may be able to even take this division down. I was mostly just looking to severely weaken it. Oh, well. Okay, well, we just now created a gap in the line, and no, I don't have anything ready to push in there, which is, in a way, okay, because I'm sort of fine with the idea of somebody else coming in there. Oh, absolutely unknown. Yeah, the only fully motorized army that I know of in 1940, and not that they still don't have guys walking, but all that don't use horses, unless there's a specific cavalry unit, and I'm not even sure they had any of those, but was the British Expeditionary Force as an army, not as in universally in the army, but as an army-sized unit. The BEF in 1940 was fully motorized, as far as I understand it. And I'm not saying, the army out in Burma or somewhere at the time. I'm talking about just them. They were fully motorized. And that more or less stays true for the British frontline units fighting, in North Africa, Europe and whatnot. throughout the war. Again, they may have infantry divisions that it's not full motorized infantry, but they're not using draft animals for their supply and logistics transport. And of course, the American Army only uses horses for like Merrill's Marauders in Burma, where they need to have well, it's actually donkeys or burros or whatever. I guess donkeys. Specialty units, or maybe the Mountain Division still had some, or mules. Maybe it's mules. I should be saying mules. Yeah, some specialty, animals like that. Otherwise, the Americans were fully motorized, and that's about it for World War II. Is fully motorized as larger than just a Panzer Corps or something. It was well trained carriers were developed in the proto combined arms already. That was not too dissimilar from what Germany would later use in France, but Italy did not have the means to even produce a lot of larger tanks. Italy was in many ways rather backwater. Time, yeah, I would agree with that. Same way as other countries. Yeah, yeah, like you're saying, logistics a complete mess. And I guess part of my belief in what's going on comes from the idea that you have JFC Fuller and in Britain, and who Ludendorff as very good thinkers, and they do develop over time, but thinking about the modern mechanized war in Britain, you have Guderian and others, but Guderian is sort of the primary pushing force of it in Germany, and he writes his book. And then you have de Gaulle towards a professional army. Very unfortunate title for him and that, and getting that done. But you have him as, I've read de Gaulle's book. I've read some of Little Hearts and Fuller's works. I have not read de Gaulle's, or I don't read French, or a translation of it. But he publishes what is looking, for a smaller mechanized armed forces. So, you have those thinkers that I'm thinking of. I don't know of a corollary in Italy. I mean, there very well may be, but I don't know of one. The Polish unit used bear to carry ammo crates. Yeah, no. I forget what's his name, the bear down in Monte Cassino that they brought out of the Middle East. Yes, I know. There's a statue to the bear in Scotland. I forget. Yes, it's Wotek. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Okay. Do we push with you? Okay. Well, let's look a little more up in here to see where 9 or 8 shots. They fired in defense up there. So if we were to, we don't really have any air support, but if we were to pummel him, we've got a lot. Okay. They have used their full action points. So we'd have 4 possibly. Well, yeah. Okay, let's go for this. I know I'm a bit passive aggressive with my attacks, which I think are good for the mechanics of this game. Of course, I really wish we were actively hurting that. Okay, well, we've gotten much better odds at the moment, so we're going to start this off. This may be another one of these mistakes as an attack, but that went well. Okay, you well, let's see if you can swap with them and then move out of the way so you can come here. That way we can fully, I want to get that, fully reinforce that. Okay. Yeah, let's just swap these out. Okay, that went reasonably well, all things considered. No, they wouldn't have enough points to dig in. I don't want to move you up unless you're going to dig in. Yeah, no, I know. When he knows, we all know that. It's more of a little story than anything else. So, motorization and starts as a thing in World War One in a automobile sense. I really think it starts in a railroad sense with the American Civil War. Okay. Yeah, let's move you up to here so we can see about bombarding them with 2 artillery pieces. Pushing there, because this is our main thrust, but we want to keep pushing in other spots. Now down here. Okay, we have 4 shells. Well, there goes another division gone that they're going to have to do something with. Well, no, I'd rather have them move back in than take this. I was thinking of, because right now this is just a kill a division spot is what I'm looking at it as more than anything else. Hey, Van Bishop, good to have you here, my friend. Boosted morale the same as the guy charging Normandy Beach is sword in hand. Churchill, I think you're talking about the guy charging the beach. Or was it some... Yeah, I think Churchill. Jack Churchill, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he also counted for the only kills with archery. Yeah, that was... I think the archery was during the... the Battle of France a bit earlier. Very critical to battles they take part in. It's like the Poles that gave the bear a rifle at any point. Oh, it's not like, yeah, even if he was ranked. Yeah, absolutely. But it's more than just purely like the British, say, have a goat that's a regimental mascot or something. He's a little more active than some of the... Okay, we're going to save up here. Let's reinforce you. Both attacked. Okay.